What's going on, everybody? It is Tuesday, and we're here talking brand new video games, just like we do every single week. Oh yeah, there's new games coming out. You want to know what they are, and I'm going to tell you what they are. Top game of the week is One Piece Odyssey, coming out on PC, PS4, PS5, and the Series X and S. One Piece, huh? I guess, Virgin's got to play something, right? Okay, great. Next we have, let me get my notes here. Children of Silent Town, coming to PC, PS4, PS5, Switch, Xbox One, and Series X and S. This must be a fantasy game, because any town full of children wouldn't be silent. Am I right? Kids are loud. Next game here is, Breakers Collection on PC, PS4, PS5, Switch, Xbox One, and Series X and S. Who gives a shit about the Breakers games? Okay. Then we have Vengeful Guardian, Moonrider, coming to Amazon Luna. PC, PS4, PS5, and Switch. This game looks so fucking badass. Yeah. Aurora's Journey and the Pitiful Lackey is coming out on PC, PS4, and PS5. A journey with Aurora? Who is she? Why do I care? Next we have Under Dungeon, coming out on PC, Switch, Xbox One, and Series X and S. Putting Under in the title of your game is a good way to get stupid people to buy it. Yeah. Alright, that's enough about the new games. Ports. Dragon Ball Z Kakarot is coming out on the PS5 and the Series X and S. This came out a couple years ago on last gen's consoles, and now it's on this current gen's consoles to look just marginally better than it used to. So exciting stuff, right? Let's see, expansions. Nope, nothing. No expansions. That's it. Hey, those are all the new games this week. We're gonna move on to notable titles now. I'm sure I'll have some funny little thing to do with those. So yeah, this is it. I'm out of here. Take care, everybody. Demon. Hi, can I get one corn dog?
Is that going to be original or beef?
Let's do original. Yeah.
Oh, that's turkey. That's fine?
Yeah, that's fine. Ooh. I need my glasses. Hold on. There you go. That's better. Okay. Notable title from 10 and 20 years ago. We're going to combine them today. We're going to be talking about DMC, Devil May Cry. And we're also going to be talking about Devil May Cry Part 2. 10 years ago is when DMC came out. And actually I have a little like comparison that I want to do between the two to let you know which one is better. Got it here in my pocket somewhere. Is this it? Yeah, it is. Okay. Alright. First, let's start off... Oh, I can't see. Let's start off with Dante himself. In DMC, Dante was completely reimagined. They got rid of his white hair, and they gave him spiky black hair. Basically tried to turn him into a Bruce Wayne type character. You know, they made him real like sexy or whatever, some shit. And it was terrible. In Devil May Cry 2, Dante still had his white hair, but he was older and wiser and less snarky as he was in the first Devil May Cry. So who wins this round? Devil May Cry 2. Hands down, that Dante is much better than the piece of shit that was in DMC. Next we got... Ooh, the combat. Let's see. Combat in Devil May Cry DMC is really good. It's probably the best part of this game. Well, maybe the second best part of this game. Great combat. You can chain your combos really well, and they made it very easy to do, which was great. Yeah, love the combat in DMC. Devil May Cry 2's combat is not as good as it was in the first Devil May Cry. It's okay, but it's nothing special. So, the winner here, DMC, Devil May Cry. Next we got... Ooh, enemies and bosses. This one, the enemies in DMC Devil May Cry, you basically fight the same like 3 things over and over again. They fucking suck. And the bosses are boring button mashers, almost quick time events. The Devil May Cry 2 enemies, on the other hand, while there's some that you kind of fight more than once, there's at least a variety. And the bosses are massive and very fun to fight. Except for the helicopter. The helicopter boss sucks. But everything else, good stuff. So the winner of this round, Devil May Cry 2. Alright. That was that. Number 4. Ooh, the female sidekick. Alright, so in DMC, Devil May Cry, like I said, it was a reboot of the franchise. So they added in this new female character. Her name was Kat, I think. And she wears a hoodie. And I think she might be a hacker, because, you know, hackers are fucking sick. But she sucked. The female protagonist, or the female sidekick in Devil May Cry 2 was this girl named Lucia. She was some kind of a demon hunter. I think she tried to be a clone or something. Sorry, spoiler. But at least she was interesting, and you could play as her on the second disc. So the winner of this round, Devil May Cry 2. Oh, graphics. Doesn't really give a shit about graphics. These are old games. So the graphics in DMC, Devil May Cry are better. They just are. They're both ugly, but this is better. That was number 5. Finally, number 6, story and dialogue. DMC Devil May Cry, the dialogue and the story was written by Alex Garland, who did 28 Days Later. I think he did Ex Machina. He wrote Ex Machina, and he wrote, what's that one Natalie Portman movie? It's like Evolution or some shit. Great writer. Wrote The Beach. Do you have a girlfriend? You know The Beach? Leonardo DiCaprio. Great writer. So the dialogue in DMC and the story, it's good. It's really good. The dialogue and story in Devil May Cry 2, not good. It's just not. They, in fact, famously didn't have a story or dialogue, really, because the production on that game took so long. It was, yeah, it wasn't great. So, winner of this round, DMC Devil May Cry. Altogether, what does that bring us to? Well, that's 3 points for DMC Devil May Cry, 4 points for Devil May Cry 2. So, Devil May Cry 2 is the better game, even though they're both terrible.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna eat this corn dog instead of hunting demons, cause it's a fucking corn dog, man. Bye.
All right, everybody. The notable game from 30 years ago is the NES classic. I just did quotation marks with my fingers, but you can't see because this is audio. The NES classic from 1993 that we're talking about today is The Simpsons Bartman Meets Radioactive Man. The game was actually released in December of 1992, but we're going to talk about it now because like nothing came out on the NES in 1993 or any console. Like nothing came out in January. It was crazy. This was a side-scrolling game made by a company called Imagineering, who basically got their work by making licensed games. They did stuff based on Ren and Stimpy. They did games about Barbie, the Attack of the Killer Tomatoes cartoon, and they did some arcade ports. Like I think they did Akari Warriors. And they also had David Crane working for them, where he made A Boy and His Blob. So, Imagineering wasn't like the worst developer, the worst developer out there. They were, they had okay stuff, but for whatever reason, these Simpsons games they made were just terrible. I mean, some of the worst. I assume it's because licensed games they need to be put out quick, right? They've got to meet some kind of deadline. Obviously, this Bartman game needed to come out in time for Christmas in 1992. So they just shit it out, and gave people a terrible game. Honestly, it's bad. The general premise of the game is that Bart Simpson is somehow zapped into the comic book world of Radioactive Man. As his Bartman character, he has to save Radioactive Man's powers by defeating 4 of his biggest supervillains. Which in 1992-93, if you didn't know who Radioactive Man was or who his supervillains were, you weren't alone. Like, nobody knew who Radioactive Man was. I think the character had appeared maybe once on the show, and that was it. He was sometimes in the background. Bart would be reading comics or whatever. But you literally knew nothing about this Radioactive Man character. So I honestly don't know who came up with all of these enemies and monsters that he had to fight. I know that they were going to make a Radioactive Man comic book, but that didn't come out until the end of 1993. So it's hard to know who came up with this stuff. But here it was, something that nobody gave a shit about. I guess the Bartman character was popular, right? He was on T-shirts and, lunchboxes and shit like that. Moving on with the game, it's bad, right? Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Bartman Meets Radioactive Man is terrible. But it's better than the other Simpsons games that had come out. It's much better than Space Mutants and improves on Bart versus the World really well, I think. Space Mutants kind of had this weird adventure game thing going for it, and the controls were horrible. Bart vs. the World was a little better. It was more of a straightforward platformer, but it still looked ugly, and the controls were still fairly bad. And it was hard as hell. Bartman Meets Radioactive Man is... it does better in the control department compared to Versus the World. And it doesn't look any better. It's still pretty ugly. But, it's better. At least it's got that going for it. Again, still not a great game. But if you're going to rank the NES Simpsons games, Bartman Meets Radioactive Man is the best. It's the best one on the NES. Still, you don't need to play this game. And you can't, really. It's never been ported. It's stuck on the NES forever. The only way to play it today is to either have the original cartridge or to emulate it. And honestly, it's not worth doing that. Like, you can go into a retro game shop right now, and I bet this game is going to be over $50 because people are fucking stupid. There's no reason to own this game at all. If you really want to play it, download an emulated version of it, play it on a computer, and see how bad it is. It's really bad. Look at this footage. It fucking sucks. It sucks. I'm sorry. The Simpsons, great TV show. Its video games, awful. They're just awful. Yeah. And that's it. That's Bartman Meets Radioactive Man. It's terrible.
Alright, stop. Don't look at me. Don't look at me. Just kind of look around, but not at me. Alright, can you start again? Go ahead, man. You're okay. Alright. Okay.